In a significant diplomatic encounter that underscores the complexities of U.S. China relations, U.S. Senator Steve Daines met with Chinese Vice Premier Lifeng in Beijing on March 22, 2025. The meeting comes at a time when tensions between the two nations are high, exacerbated by ongoing trade disputes and issues surrounding the trafficking of fentanyl. Daines, a staunch ally of former President Donald Trump, is in China to facilitate dialogue on these critical matters, reflecting a potential shift towards more collaborative engagement amid an increasingly antagonistic backdrop. Upon greeting Daines and his wife Vice Premier, he adopted a conciliatory tone, emphasizing the possibility of friendship between the U.S. and China despite the prevailing trade tensions. China firmly opposes the politicization, weaponization, and instrumentalization of economic and trade issues, he stated, expressing a willingness to engage in open dialogue based on mutual respect and equality. This sentiment highlights Beijing's desire to navigate the current economic landscape while addressing grievances on both sides. Daines, who has a long-standing history of engagement with China, acknowledged the importance of discussions centered around trade imbalances and the flow of fentanyl precursors from China to the United States. "I've always believed in having constructive dialogue, and that has been the nature of all my visits to China over the course of many years," he remarked. His visit is particularly timely as it coincides with a broader context where President Trump has implemented a series of tariffs aimed at rectifying perceived trade imbalances, a move that has prompted retaliatory measures from Beijing. The trade conflict has reached new heights since Trump's return to office, with tariffs imposed on several key U.S. agricultural exports, including soybeans, pork, and chicken. This has created a climate of uncertainty for American farmers and businesses that rely on trade with China. In a statement from the U.S. Embassy in China, it was highlighted that Daines would reiterate President Trump's call for China to halt the flow of fentanyl precursors, an issue that has devastated communities across the U.S. Vice Premier, he acknowledged the ongoing concerns regarding fentanyl trafficking, asserting that China has been cooperating with U.S. authorities to address the issue. He also pointed out the need for Washington to adopt stricter drug legislation, demonstrating the complexities of intergovernmental negotiations where both sides have pressing concerns that require resolution. As Daines prepares for a meeting with Premier Li Qiang, the potential for further high-level talks between the two nations looms large. Trump recently indicated that Chinese President Xi Jinping may visit the United States soon, a development that could pave the way for a new chapter in U.S. China relations. The outcomes of Daines' discussions could set the tone for future engagements and may influence the trajectory of trade policies that have significant implications for both economies. In conclusion, Senator Daines' visit represents a crucial opportunity for dialogue at a time when U.S. China relations are under immense strain. The willingness of both parties to engage in discussions about trade and drug trafficking signals a potential pathway towards resolving some of the pressing issues that have defined their relationship in recent years. As both nations navigate these complex dynamics, the outcomes of such meetings may shape not only their bilateral ties but also the broader global economic landscape in the years to come. In a rapidly shifting geopolitical landscape, the relationship between the United States and China continues to be strained, exacerbated by trade tensions and tariff disputes. Recent developments highlight the increasing complexity of these interactions as key figures from both nations engage in discussions aimed at mitigating conflict. A notable meeting occurred when U.S. Senator Steve Daines met with China's Vice Premier Lifeng, marking the first visit by a U.S. politician to Beijing since President Donald Trump resumed office. Daines, a staunch supporter of Trump's policies, emphasized the need for constructive dialogue between the two countries, reflecting a sentiment echoed by he. China and the United States have extensive common interests and broad space for cooperation, he stated, advocating for a partnership that could lead to mutual benefits. He further noted the importance of conducting discussions on the basis of mutual respect, a principle that may be pivotal in navigating the current tensions. The backdrop of this meeting is critical. President Trump has recently imposed additional tariffs on Chinese goods, a move aimed at pressuring Beijing to address the flow of fentanyl into the U.S. The impending tariffs expected to be announced in early April will likely extend to all countries that tax U.S. imports, putting further strain on international trade relations. Daines reiterated Trump's call for China to halt the export of fentanyl precursors, a key issue that underscores the urgency of these dialogues. In conjunction with Daines's visit, the broader economic landscape is also shifting. Reports indicate that China is exploring the possibility of limiting its own exports as a means to appease the U.S. This development suggests a willingness on China's part to engage in concessions, though it remains to be seen how effective such measures will be in quelling the trade war. Analysts posit that these discussions could lay the groundwork for a more stable economic relationship, but skepticism remains regarding the long-term sustainability of such agreements. The potential for collaboration was underscored by Daines's plans to meet with Premier Li Qiang during the China Development Forum, an annual event that gathers foreign executives and business leaders. This forum could provide a platform for deeper economic ties and an opportunity to address the complexities of U.S. China trade relations. As discussions unfold, the impact of these meetings on global markets and economic stability will be closely monitored. The current atmosphere of uncertainty raises questions about the future trajectory of U.S.-China relations, particularly as both nations navigate the delicate balance between competition and collaboration. Stakeholders from various sectors, including technology and manufacturing, are poised to react to any developments that emerge from these high-level talks. In conclusion, as the U.S. and China grapple with their differences, the importance of dialogue cannot be overstated. The outcome of these negotiations will not only shape bilateral relations but could also influence global economic dynamics for years to come. Observers will be keenly watching how both nations leverage their interactions in the face of growing tariff pressures and whether a path toward cooperation can be forged amid the complexities of their relationship. As the geopolitical landscape in the Asia-Pacific region continues to shift, analysts are increasingly confident that the United States will not reduce its military presence in the area, particularly under the leadership of former President Donald Trump. This assertion comes at a time when tensions between the U.S. and China are at a boiling point, with the South China Sea and Taiwan remaining focal points of contention. During a recent panel discussion at Tsinghua University's International Security and Strategy Forum, Sun Yun, director of the Stimson Center's China program, articulated her views on the matter. She emphasized, when we look at the Asia-Pacific, especially the West Pacific, where China traditionally sees this as my neighborhood, I don't see that the U.S. will in any way concede or cede its presence in the region. This perspective reflects a broader consensus among security analysts that the U.S. is committed to maintaining its influence despite potential backlash from China. The backdrop to this commitment is a series of escalating disputes in the South China Sea, where China's extensive territorial claims are contested by several neighboring nations, including the Philippines. The U.S. has been accused by China of exacerbating regional tensions by supporting its allies in these disputes. U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio has reaffirmed Washington's ironclad commitment to defending its treaty partners, further entrenching the U.S. military's role in the region. Simultaneously, the business landscape is also feeling the pressures of U.S.-China relations, particularly in the technology sector. Hesai Technology, a leading Chinese supplier of LiDAR technology, has found itself embroiled in controversy. The company recently denied allegations from a short seller report claiming it has ties to the Chinese military, which could have significant implications for its operations and investments in the U.S. market. Hesai's shares took a hit after the report, which accused the company of misleading investors about its military connections. In response to these allegations, Hesai's CEO David Lee stated, "We can state definitely that DoD has not accused Hesai of being owned or controlled by any military bodies. LiDAR technology is critical for various applications, including autonomous vehicles and industrial automation, making Hesai's situation particularly precarious." The U.S. government had previously included Hesai in a Defense Department list of companies suspected of having military ties, prompting the company to launch legal action against the government. The outcome of this case could set a precedent for how similar companies navigate the complexities of U.S. China relations. Additionally, the intertwining of business and national security concerns is highlighted by the scrutiny faced by high-profile figures like Elon Musk, whose ties to China complicate his role in U.S. national security discussions. Recent visits to the Pentagon and public exchanges regarding U.S.-China relations underscore the delicate balance that exists between technological advancement and geopolitical strategy. As tensions rise and the stakes grow higher, the future landscape of U.S.-China relations remains uncertain. Analysts predict that the U.S. military's presence in Asia will not diminish anytime soon, while companies like Hesai may have to confront ongoing challenges as they navigate the intricate web of international politics and commerce. The implications of these developments will likely resonate far beyond the immediate region, influencing global markets and international relations for years to come.